Hello and welcome to Baka Reviews, the podcast review movie thing where we review anime movies. Today,
It's the OVA to Baka-Talk.
It is.
what? It is.
Yeah, it's the OVA of Baka-Talk.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, that's a good way of looking at it. So yeah, the OVA of Baka-Talk. Anyways, we're reviewing today Trigun, Rumble in the Badlands, which is an OVA technically, kind of, to Trigun.
Yeah, it takes place between episodes like 10 and 12 or something.
Something like that, yeah. But anyways, let's jump on into it. What'd you guys think of it?
I liked it.
Yeah?
It's pretty decent.
Yeah? Alright, cool. That was a great review. See y'all.
Yeah.
And it felt like 4 episodes of Trigun just put together.
Yeah, it did.
I think that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've looked into it. I don't see a lot development-wise.
No, I think it was just kind of a thing of like, hey kids, you remember when this was cool?
I know, this was made like 10 years after the show came out.
Yeah, the Trigun came out in what, 97?
Yeah, something like that.
And this came out in 2010. It was announced in 2005.
Wow.
Unless I didn't look into it. Hear me out, because the manga was still going, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Was this like just basically a promotion for the manga? Like, hey, here's this story arc.
This was not. This is a completely original story. It doesn't have anything to do with the manga. But,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a little weird then for it to have that time frame. Unless they planned on rebooting the show sooner.
Well, it was announced in 2005, and finally it was scheduled for 2009 and appeared as an advertisement on Trigun Maximum, Volume 14.
Yeah, the manga did end in 2009. So
what was Trigun Maximum?
Trigun Maximum is a Trigun. It's just changed publishers, so they gave it a different name
Yeah.
because of.
Did it get a reboot or something?
No, it just one publishing company that had Trigun manga went out of business, so he switched to a different company, and the rights were kind of screwed up, so he had to have a slightly different name. So it just got named Trigun Maximum instead of just Trigun.
Trigun Maximum RE.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of what it was.
people will call Trigun manga Trimax because it's the that's the
Technically
manga
Trimax.
version. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. But anyways, for
So-
the movie itself, it felt like it was a couple episodes of the anime put together, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Like, it was good.
Definitely, it made it flow kind of weird.
It did.
Yeah.
Like the ending.
Yeah, where like we all think Vash is dead, and they just have like that one over the night scene.
Yeah, thankfully those insurance girls came along and pulled me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the
Oh.
ending with the bad guy, how it's just literally Wolfwood just shoots the bomb and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to wind that back a couple times, like, wait, this can't be it, is it?
Yeah.
I've seen this twice.
Like the after credit scene shows them all in prison and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, but
I've seen this twice because I watched it once when I first watched through Trigun, and then
did
I
ya?
watched it again now. And it is a pretty decent movie, and there's some stuff I really like about it, but its pacing is really awful.
It's pretty bad.
Right as we get to the point where Gasback does something awesome, which we'll talk about more specifically later, and takes off, and then they're chasing after him, and there's all this tension, and then Vash gets shot, and we all know Vash is still alive. I don't know if they made this movie for people that hadn't seen Trigun, if that was their idea.
as like a weird advertisement,
Yeah,
try to get people to try.
then people might actually think Vash died, but it was really bizarre that they like pretended to kill Vash because everybody knows Vash is gonna come back, and then it just like pauses. It was just like Vash died,
Yeah.
and then it just like grinds to a halt. They go back to town and then go back to fighting Gasback. It was so awkward. It was like they're chasing him and then they just stop, go back home, and then go after him again. And he's just kind of like chilling.
Yeah, like why did Gasback just go back to like that mountain? Why didn't he just like?
I think his machine broke because they like shot it or whatever.
That is true.
And so he was having to fix it. But why did they go back to town? Like, what the heck was that all about? They were chasing him, and then they're like, "Well, Vash is dead. We gotta go mourn his loss." It was so weird.
Yeah, like there's this whole thing with Wolfwood, and he like punches the freezer box.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
They were like mourning his death for a minute, and it was really weird. That whole
awkward.
That whole part was really slow, and it just grinded the movie to a halt. They could have taken all of that out, and it would have been way better.
But overall, you guys think it's a pretty good anime movie?
I think it's a pretty decent movie.
Like I say this is an anime movie compared to like the other movies we review, because this is like it's a movie from an anime.
Yeah.
So it's like it wasn't like original IP like Ghibli, like Tokyo Godfathers or something like that.
This is a pretty good movie in that regard, because it doesn't, like, you don't need to have seen Trigun for this to make sense.
Yeah.
And you also, like, watching Trigun, it just kind of fits in with the anime, because this is like part of the 90s anime version of Trigun.
Yeah, I think it's a good plug-in, just to, like, if you want the series to go a little longer.
Yeah, if you just want to see a side adventure.
I mean, I kind of wish I would have watched this when I first watched Trigun. So
yeah,
it would have. I think it would have felt a little bit more coherent if I would have like watched Trigun up to like where this was supposed to take place, and then watched this.
Yeah,
I don't know, but watching it yesterday, technically, it felt definitely a little out of place.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have things like when he runs into the two insurance girls and he's like, oh, hey, it's you two again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've never seen Trigun. How do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to assume these people know each other.
The only thing I can figure is that this was more meant for people that were actively reading the manga to the end.
I guess. I'm not sure who it was made for. From what I
unless, is there by any chance it was actually made sooner and just didn't get released to like the US until 2010?
No, like it was being
it got released US 2011.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So from what I read on, like, Trigun got super popular, like more popular in America, it sounds like. So this movie was kind of for that. It kind of sounds like that, like the Western audience liked Trigun so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was as popular in Japan, but it still must have been. Yeah, it's a weird movie. I like it, but it's not great either. We can get into the specifics now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But like things I like the most about it, the villain Gasback is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. I like the villain.
He's really good. His whole story is really interesting. Like
how he's just passionate about robbery.
Yeah, he's like super passionate about robbery and just like stealing in the most outrageous ways.
There is one thing story-wise I wish they would have kind of went into a little bit more detail of like, okay, so the girl Amelia, like, spoiler for anyone that hasn't watched this, but you're probably just watching it or listening for our take anyways.
Mm-hmm.
About the fact of like Gasback being her father, like nowhere's is it hinted that he's like an inventor or like a tinker or anything. So like the glove thing just kind of felt very MacGuffin-y.
That did feel very weird. Was it something that he stole?
No, it was something he made for his wife. But the thing is like, why didn't we see him do more of that stuff throughout the thing? Like,
yeah.
I would totally be understand. It was like, oh, he built the rig or he built his like robo gun.
Yeah.
Arm. Like,
I guess you're supposed to assume from his robo gun arm thing, but
like the whole reason, like that glove withstood his electricity.
Yeah.
Like, did he build that so that way she could like touch him? Is he just gonna like electrocute anybody he touches?
I know,
they didn't explain
what
any
else.
Of that.
Does
like,
that glove literally do nothing else except that? Because that would be like super useless.
Like in the first part.
Or was the wife like a partner at one time and like
exactly?
crime?
Yeah.
Like is that for her so that way she doesn't like get hurt when he does that? Like
oh yeah.
That like
or does it have other abilities that?
Yeah.
That was that side of like usually I'm not big on backstories, but it's like if you're gonna have a character like this, it would be kind of nice to have a little bit more in depth on them.
Right.
I do think Amelia kind of sucked. Her character
she was just kind of there.
Was there.
Her backstory was more interesting than she was.
Yeah, like the Gasback's whole deal is really cool. Like you find out about his, like she hates him, and then you find out it's because he's her father, and then you're like, okay, so he was probably like a bad dad because he's like a thief. But no, he actually like took care of them and like gave them money.
I left you tons of money and a super shield, basically.
But then they get attacked by other thieves, and then no one will help them because they're Gasback's family. So it kind of makes sense. Like it's an interesting take on why she hates him, and it's interesting that she hates him instead of the people that actually did it because she still blames him for being a thief, basically being the same kind of person that ruined her life.
Another thing, and this would definitely be for people that only watch the movie and not the show, I completely for a little bit forgot that Vash doesn't age.
Oh yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah.
So
they don't explain that either. They don't explain that he's not even human. They don't.
To be fair, they don't explain that much in the '90s anime at all.
They don't, but they at least imply.
They do mention it some, but yeah, they definitely don't like explain
also,
much about it.
Wasn't there like weird interdimensional beings inside the light bulbs?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they hide in a little cocoon thing sometimes, though. I think it was
because I thought it was gonna be like, oh, they're gonna break it and this thing gets out, and I don't know that much about it, so I'm assuming it would just like destroy stuff.
They would die if they got out.
Yeah.
Of their bulb.
But also, like you were talking about Amelia, I kind of felt bad because that character, if it was part of like Trigun from like episode 1, and we got to watch that type of character grow, it would have been a cool character.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Like watching the original Trigun, knowing that she's only a movie character, they just totally wasted all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the one-off characters that they do meet in the show, you usually get to learn something about them.
Yeah.
I also think Vash's interactions with Amelia were mostly annoying. They weren't like they weren't very interesting or fun.
Like, Vash is a womanizer, but he's not like that
type. Yeah.
So it's like another thing they didn't explain. Did they not explain that he knew that she was like his like daughter or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that the reason why he was like constantly hounding her? Or like
liked her and hounded her constantly.
Like it was so weird.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward. They didn't totally nail his character in that regard. In the rest, the really good things though is like Vash and Nicholas, like Wolfwood fighting Vash was pretty cool. That like getting sweet. Gas back to that point, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm done. That's all I needed to do."
Yeah.
I will say Wolfwood just like bodying everybody up on the mountain because he's just like way out of everybody's league up there.
Like
that was kind of
compared to everyone else here. Like Nicholas and Vash are just like ridiculously overpowered.
I did like the siege of the city.
That was cool. That was a cool moment.
Really cool.
Like the whole action thing of that was just
it all built up to that. And the other thing it built up to was him stealing the statue, because that's the only thing that they talked about was the stupid gold statue of him. And so you're waiting for him to steal it, and then instead he steals the plant. And that is such a cool like twist. And then we're just watching it like roll down the thing that they made and just topples the statue, and then they just take it and take off.
That was
and it's like
cool.
Oh, it's way worse than what everyone thought. They thought that he was just going to steal the big gold statue and get money off of it, but instead he stole their whole freaking plant, which just basically kills everyone there because they'll have no power. So it was pretty like wild, and it was just cool seeing the plant like roll through the town.
That was really well animated, and I like the siege and how well animated it was for a movie. Kind of like a mid-budget movie. Mm-hmm. It was really well done.
Yeah.
Like, nothing felt like it was budget, like, animated or anything like that.
Yeah. Like, I like that Gasback, like, used smoke screens, like, all the time. He had, like, interesting strategies for how he fought, and he was just, like, really overpowering. And then...
also... Where in Trigun, aside from underground, are robots used a lot?
That was a specific, because there's that episode in the anime where Wolfwood and Vash
get like sucked down in the ship.
Yeah, and there was like robots there. It sounded like the guy, he had gotten rich from the robberies, and then he like spent a bunch of money getting these like
probably some scavenger.
Yeah,
dug them up or something.
And getting,
because aren't those things like aren't those ships like all over the place?
Yeah.
Well, the weird thing is with Trigun as well is there's a lot of like civilized places. Like there's whole cities and stuff.
Oh yeah, like this.
But like the area the Trigun stories usually take place are in like the wasteland, like like the no man's land areas.
Because
where like a lot of the like as far as I know from like Stampede and other things I've seen, like a lot of the coastal cities are actually like they got like a government and stuff like that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, because the when Knives took down the ships, they crash landed, and then wherever a plant landed is where a civilization brought up, because that's the only way they could get water and power and stuff.
Oh, okay. See, to me, Trigun feels like, and I haven't read the manga. I probably should.
The manga's really cool.
The world is one of those worlds that feels like there's a ton going on, but it's not addressed.
Yeah.
There is, because the story's very focused on Vash. And like that's kind of how this movie went too, is like it's very focused on Vash, where like so much other stuff is going on.
Yeah.
Like Amelia's story, what's his name? Gasback's story. Like that's all like going on, but then Vash is there. Vash almost ruins like this like really cool like heist story.
Well, I guess that's kind of his thing though.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, he ruins kind of everything that goes on.
The ending
in a weird way.
The ending was pretty cool too with his fight with Gasback. It was cool seeing Vash like fight in high quality animation.
Because
like the 90s anime is not super well done. It's very cheap.
It's very cut and then
and it's very cheap for the time. Like it wasn't high budget. They didn't have a ton of money to make it.
Right.
So it just does not look very good. The first couple episodes didn't look bad, but later you look at it more and it's like, oh, this is just like one still image with a little effect in the camera shaking.
Yeah.
Like it does that all the time. So seeing him just like roll around and fight in like HD and better animation was super cool.
Something
Stampede had some decent fights and not a whole lot else.
All right, Weez, this means that you need to direct a Trigun series.
That would be sick.
You are now the Trigun master.
I would just adapt the manga because that would be really cool.
But
I would like the manga.
You have to get Mappa to do the animation.
That would be super sick.
I don't know if they could handle anything else.
I think
they got enough.
They already do everything.
See, it's all desert and stuff, so that would just be a work exercise for them.
I guess that's true. How many sand particles can they draw in a single frame?
You just got a bunch of animals. Go!
On your marks, get set, dot.
So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I really liked Gasback's story.
Is there...
You know who he reminded me of from the 90s anime? The dude that stole the sand rig?
Yeah, he's very much like that guy. Even like flipping the coin to like start the battle.
In a way, when I first saw him, I'm like, oh, it's just the guy that... The flamboyant guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's
everything's got to be gorgeous.
Yeah. Why didn't they make the guy that held up the sand steamer the villain?
Because I think, didn't he die saving the sand steamer?
No,
he just parked the vehicle in front so it'd stop and then took off.
He realized Vash was a superior gunman and then was just like, all right, we're even for this one. We'll just leave and I'll fight you later. And then you never see him again.
I think it would have been cool if it was just a reference to him, like Gasback's like one of his like role models.
Yeah, that would be cool. But even it's weird that I feel like that would have been a perfect story to just have that guy like come back and be like his finishing story with Vash.
Like, oh, it's Vash.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason I thought it was going to be that character, I thought Gasback was going to be that character because technically they start on a sand steamer.
Yeah,
I'm just like, wait a second, is it just going to be another weird variation of the guy stealing a sand steamer?
But yeah, it's not that guy, but no, I guess if they did do that guy, it would probably just be the same thing over again because Vash just won't kill him and he'll just leave or whatever. But Yeah, Gasback's pretty interesting. It's cool they actually shot Gasback just like in the legs and
twice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like usually doesn't shoot people.
Yeah, not very often.
Well, I think the final straw is just stealing the plant.
Well, even before that, he didn't shoot at anybody. I think.
Although I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have one formal complaint.
Yeah.
The plants are colossal size.
Yeah.
But when it got into the truck, it wasn't colossal.
It was a big truck.
It was a really big.
It was a big truck, but it wasn't like.
It was very big,
giant.
Proportions are relative when you're drawing.
No, it's like that's the whole thing. Like how ominous these things look because of how huge they are.
That's true. Like I think that wasn't one of the biggest plants,
but it looked huge on the hill.
It still was very big.
Although I also find it funny they look like light bulbs.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole like thing about them in the original '90s anime. Like you're just like, why is this giant light bulb just in the desert? Like I get ships crashed, but why a big light bulb? Because in the anime, they don't really explain like they're like power plants or anything.
Yeah, the manga at least like in one of the first chapters explains like humanity crashed on this planet and these plants were the only thing that kept them alive. So there were these cities built around the plants. And the manga is just, or the anime is just like Vash. Desert.
You don't even know it's like not Earth for like the first like 4 episodes. You're just like, what's a double dollar?
When in the anime did they explain that?
I think it's when.
It's not for a while.
It's not for a while, but I think it's like episode 4 or 5 when he finally meets Wolfwood and they crash into the.
Yeah.
Isn't there also a reference of someone wanting to get enough money to get off the planet or something too?
I don't know.
They can't get off the planet.
Oh, they can't?
Yeah, they're pretty stuck.
Like, that's the whole reason why they have to be around, like, the settlements and stuff. Like, as far as I know, there's no interstellar travel. It was just they had the seed ships, and then somehow they met Vash and Knives.
They were
created them
born. Yeah, they were like born from plants on the ship. It's the same in the manga and the anime. The anime only shows it in like the thing is the anime explains these things, but it explains it in like one frame of a backstory where it shows them being born.
Yeah,
or like. And it's like super confusing. You have no idea. Just like explaining this isn't Earth. There's probably some just offhand line of like, oh, this is probably technology from the old world. And then you're like, what?
I think that's the biggest detriment to this movie with the time it was released and with how short it is. Only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
They don't even do like that single frame explanation. So like when you're watching,
that's true.
You're just like, oh, okay.
It is
why
weird.
is any of this happening?
It feels like this movie was made for people that weren't Trigun fans because they had like Vash die.
Yeah.
But it also feels like this was very much for Trigun fans.
Like you need all of that backstory.
Because it just throws you into the world. I
think it probably is very much for the manga readers.
I guess.
And just conveniently they had a whole cast that could do voices and stuff because they had a show years ago.
Yeah.
But it's also like convenient that this is also just a really good post-apocalyptic Western story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't Vash the Stampede, it would have been just a good Western story.
Yeah.
Like this lone gunman that doesn't want people to die for some reason.
All right, boom. All right, Weez, your next job, edit Vash out of the whole movie.
Just like put a paper bag over his head and call him the
you could edit out like the first chunk of it and edit out like that middle annoying part where Amelia has to have a breakdown about trying to shoot the plan, whatever, and just cut those parts off. You got the Gasback getting into the city and then them fighting Gasback, and it's
put Mel Gibson like screened in over like Vash.
Are we asking about Rango in there as well?
Yeah, there you go.
Just every time the main character's on screen, he's just a different famous like Western guy. Just John Wayne, and then the next scene he's just the Mandalorian, and then the next scene he's just somebody else.
You got the guy that played the live action what is it? Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
You have the new one, and then you have some scenes where it's the black and white one.
That would be amazing. It's just like, who are you? I am the Western protagonist.
Look, it's Lassie.
Okay, this is supposed to be a movie review podcast, but I just thought of the greatest Western sci-fi in all of history. All of the Western, like like Wild West protagonists get sucked into this universe where they have to like fight off the ultimate bandits, and it's just like this weird like multiversal western.
Spaghetti Western, enter the Western verse.
Yeah, exactly. They all have to team up to stop the ultimate Western bandit that's like doing a multiversal bank robbery.
Somewhere's out there now. Some probably Czechoslovakian B-movie studio is going to make that.
Probably.
There's just multiple John Waynes from all his different movies.
Sam Elliott.
And
then they have to all team together to summon the one, the only Gene Autry, the original cowboy.
That'd be great. But anyways, for Trigun, I guess since we're rambling, that's basically all we got to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can give it a rating.
We can. What do you rate it?
I give it like... I'll give it 6.5 Triguns out of 10.
I'll give it... See, he has an 8-shot revolver? No, 6-shot revolver. So I'll give it 4 bullets out of 6.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll give it $5 out of 10.
All right. That's
like, it's fun. I like it. I like the animation. But if you've never seen Trigun, it's not going to be fun.
And then when you have seen Trigun, you're just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just for fun.
It is just for fun.
Okay. The little side thing of it is the difference of East media versus West media is West media feels like everything has to have a point to it or like a purpose. East is like, this idea sounds fun. Let's roll with it.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm just like, you made a whole movie in 2010.
Yeah.
Why didn't you add on to the story then?
Yeah, it would have seemed like maybe the movies would have just been like their own standalone like series.
Yeah, or like an after story.
Yeah.
Just do an after story, like something. Yeah. I don't know.
Start adapting the manga.
Yeah.
Give us the full story.
But anyways, that was about it. This was a short one. We liked it, but we also didn't like it.
It was fine. Half of it was really good with like the villain's backstory. Half of it was pretty boring and kind of meh.
I didn't have enough popcorn while watching it.
It was only an hour and a half.
I ran out of popcorn.
Well, that's a lot of popcorn.
At the bar scene.
Wow. That was 20 minutes in.
And I went to get another pack. I'm like, I am out of popcorn. This is going to get a negative rating.
That's why it's only got 5 out of 10. He would have got a solid 7 if he had popcorn.
Like 3 popcorn out of 10. Why? Because I only made it a third of the way through the movie and I ran out of popcorn.
But anyways, yeah, that's about it for the review. Hopefully you guys liked the episode. Next week, we will be reviewing...
Next
episode. Let me find it. There it is. Next episode will be... I have no idea what this is. Summer Ghost.
Depression.
All right. Prepare for next episode when we will have depression. And then the episode after that, we will review Multiversal Cowboy Ranger, Dirty Harry stuff.
Wow, now we're also dipping into detective shows.
I thought Dirty Harry was... that is detective. Never mind. Anyways, we will see you all later.
Ciao, meow.
See you on the flip side.
Bye.